we'll see if the Lions defense can do better than they did against Stafford. And I mean, obviously there's no Stafford and Nakua here, but Lions defense, I think there's reason for concern. And I think on the flip side, I think there's concern with how Goff can handle Tampa, this defense, second time around. So because of where we are on the podcast now, I took 6.5. There is a 7 circa available that isn't widely available. So that's why I can't say I'm taking 7 here, because I can't play it at 7. But you want to hold out and wait, you can take the Bucs plus 7, maybe if it gets there. But if not, for this pod's purposes, I'll take Tampa plus the 6.5.
Do you think they win outright? Because I feel like if you take an underdog to cover in the playoffs, you should also expect them to maybe win outright. Do you expect them to win this game?
I give them a chance to win the game. I mean, if you go back and look at that, despite how bad Tampa played in that game, it was a 10-6 game late in the third quarter. So it wasn't like the Lions were really capitalizing on all these opportunities that they had with Tampa. And so, like, I'll play Tampa plus the points, and I'll put a half a unit or so on Tampa on the money line as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
because that is usually a theory that I like to subscribe to. I won't necessarily only play an underdog if I think they can win outright, but certainly in a game like this where the number is kind of close-ish, if I'm taking a dog plus 6.5, obviously I do think that they have a chance to win outright.
It's hard for me to back the Lions here because of their pass defense, right? 425 yards allowed last week. They were really good in the red zone. That's why the Rams didn't score enough points, but their red zone defense this year has not been very good. Baker Mayfield is not the best quarterback remaining, but he does get the ball in the hands of his weapons. Godwin, Mike Evans. We saw last weekend, I guess it was Monday night now, that against a bad defense, Philly's not a good defense, the Baker Mayfield was able to take advantage of that. And this screams, even if you don't think they can win this game, backdoor cover, right? Lions up 14. The problem with that, though, is that Todd Bowles going to go for 2. The math says go for 2, right? But I mean, even if they're down 10, right, driving late, like I trust them to get this over the end line. I have Mike Evans, by the way, over 60.5 receiving yards in this game. Just to throw that aside there. I just think that we saw last weekend his ability to get open, and he just dropped that one pass. Otherwise, he'd be over that number very easily. Let's get to game number 2.
Yeah, you were right on with your wide receiver. You were right on with your wide receiver props last week, by the way. If McCole Hardman could like find the ball in the air, we would have catched that one pretty easily too. Just find the ball. He was open twice for deep passes and did not. The ball was thrown perfectly both times. It just didn't look up didn't want to dive in that cold air. It is what it is. Let's move on to game number 2. Green Bay Packers at San Francisco 49ers. Niners favored by 9.5 right now. Both teams this season were above 50% covering the spread. We know the Packers won last week as a big underdog. The Niners obviously on a bye, hosting the Packers. Worth noting here, Bear, Niners at home with Shanahan in the playoffs. 4-0 straight up, 4-0 against the spread, which is interesting because Shanahan as a favorite typically is not terribly good, but in the playoffs at home, given rest, the Niners have been a juggernaut. And I think I know where you're going with this one. I think you're back in the trend here with Shanahan and the Niners. Yeah, I am. And not only back in the trend, I'm backing a team that's been the best team in the NFC all year long. And I think the rest, the last couple of weeks, the last weekend of the regular season when they had nothing to play for, and then the idle week in the NFL playoffs. They started last week, a couple of weeks off to kind of heal up some of those injuries. I would think McCaffrey would be good to go. I think Purdy, any lingering injuries that he had, he'll be healed up. So I think the rest will do them good. And I think they come out and remind people how good and how dominant they have been against the NFC this year. And look, this is not I don't think the Packers are good or I think the Packers are overrated. I think it was a fluke. I think the Packers are a good team. But again, you were a 7-point underdog for a reason at Dallas. You won the game outright. Now you got to go on the road again and compete or potentially win as a bigger underdog against a better team than you beat last week, a more well-coached team than you faced last week. I just don't like the situation for Green Bay here at all. I think the Niners come out, and I think they win the game very convincingly.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.